In the first 3 videos of this series, we identified 5 critical moves your business needs to make if you want to innovate your way out of a crisis. Your first move is to know your users and focus on their needs. Your second move is to adopt a system of natural selection. So rather than trying to pick winning ideas, you allow them to emerge from activities you undertake. Your third move is to coordinate action effectively by getting the right people in place, which means focusing on their attitudes as well as their aptitudes. And these people need clear missions so they can start moving in the right directions. So this is your fourth necessary move. You then give your people the freedom to choose which methods they think are the most appropriate for meeting those missions. And your fifth move is to monitor the progress of those missions in real time rather than being tempted to micromanage the people or projects yourself. Now, in this fourth video, we're going to look at the next 2 critical moves your business needs to make if you want to innovate your way out of a crisis. Move number 6 requires you to establish effective communication across the entire organization. That is, if you want to be able to exploit the opportunities on offer out there. Because one of the biggest problems in any organization is the illusion that communication has taken place. All too often, people leave meetings with wildly different views about what was said and what was agreed, and that's why action is often so uncoordinated in organizations. And this is where the temptation to micromanage comes from. The attempt to make everyone do what the manager says is really just an effort of some managers to get some consistency into the organization. But there's a better way of doing this. In the previous video, we looked at the Prussian military doctrine of the 19th century and how it can help businesses in the 21st century. This doctrine was built on 4 key organizing principles for acting successfully in a time of uncertainty and threat. And one of those 4 principles was to have a rigorous focus on your mission. This meant that all people were required to challenge any assumptions, that is, any accepted truths that they thought might be holding the mission back. And challenge is important. As Mark Twain allegedly once said, "It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so." You really need to identify faulty assumptions before you start putting things into action. Otherwise, it can become too costly to make the necessary adjustments later. However, the problem in most businesses is that when people challenge assumptions, others can think that you're challenging them. They take it as a personal attack. This is why setting clear missions for teams is so important and powerful. They help focus people on their common problems together rather than on creating problems between them. Therefore, insist that people challenge all assumptions they think might be holding the mission back, as it's the first step towards effective communication and action in your organization. However, you still have one more problem to solve in order to get everyone communicating effectively, and that is agreeing on a common language. Because today, everyone in your organization is speaking in their own language, and there are very few who understand each other well. Finance people are talking in spreadsheets. IT people are talking in systems diagrams. Marketing are talking in their 7 Ps, while sales have their own slang for everything, from ABC to TOFUs and BOFUs, from MQLs and SQLs to NSAs, and the all-important FAB. Is there any wonder so little effective communication takes place in most organizations? They're suffering from a Tower of Babel problem, with everyone speaking their own language, and no amount of management meetings, better agendas, or support software is going to fix this. What your people need is a common language they can all speak fluently. And this is where maps come in. Think about the last time you used a map. Perhaps you used the navigator on your phone today to find the quickest route into work, or to find out how to get to an off-site meeting. Think about the last time you visited a foreign country. Did you use a map to find your way around? Our guess is that you did because, while it's fun to wander around a foreign city, it's no fun getting lost in one. And that's why maps are useful. They're visual. meaning you can quickly scan a specific landscape in seconds. They show the position of relevant components, such as landmarks and routes. And with a map, you can quickly decide how to get to where you need to go. Furthermore, maps are used on a daily basis by your people in finance, IT, sales and marketing, HR, and operations. That's what makes maps your best bet for creating a common language across your entire organization. And once your people can communicate effectively across departmental lines, they can also start to coordinate their own action more effectively. And it's this that increases your chances of exploiting the opportunities out there. As we pointed out in the first video of this series, the only real maps for businesses out there are Wardley maps. If you've watched all the videos in this series so far, then you're already familiar with these types of maps, because we've been using this one throughout. Wardley maps are now spreading rapidly across businesses with notable users such as Amazon, Netflix, Airbnb, Salesforce, Shopify, and even the UN's Big Data division. That's because these organizations, and many more besides, have learned that maps are a fantastic way of identifying and communicating missions, as we demonstrated with this map of a retailer from the last video. Maps help you get the right people into the right teams, who can understand the situation more clearly and identify the most appropriate methods they need to use to act effectively. Maps, therefore, are your platform for powering the rest of the activities your business needs to perform if you're going to innovate your way out of a crisis. And this is why adopting maps as your organization's common language is the 7th of our 9 recommended moves your businesses need to be making now. Furthermore, Wardley maps are open source, so there's no big investment needed to start using them and no lock-in from any provider. The only thing you need to do is learn how to use them. So if you'd like to understand more about how to start using Wardley maps to create a common language in your organization, watch this short video on our site, powermaps.net. And just to remind you, you can get free workbooks for all the principles explored on this map by emailing us your feedback on this video to contact@powermaps.net.